Hello guys, Chaoslands and his big nose. Hail you. Welcome to this kind of starter guide for Destruction Warlock, where I will walk you through the basics of the spec and how it plays on BFA and how you probably should play it as well. So, Destruction Warlock. Slow, relatively slow, hard hitting, funny, satisfying, good animations, all you need to know. Now when I got your attention, let's take a look on what our basic spells do. Of course, we can see our spellbook is pretty big, but many of those things are just gadgets and quality of life changes and things that the people will annoy you with. Like, for example, Soul Well, which is basically health tools for everyone. Then we have Ritual of Summoning, which is everyone like types of some lock, some. Fuck you! Walk there! I have to walk there as well. And Unending Bright, pretty handy thing, while leveling and all that kind of shit. But these are not damaging spells. When it comes to our basic damaging spells, we can see them on my 1, 2, 3 and F binds. We have Azerite, which is our filler, generates like this kind of fire moving thing. It generates 1 sunshine fragment and 2 if it crits. Then we have our damage over time effect, Immolate, which we keep 100% of the time up. The target is suffering some damage, and it generates 1 soul shard and has a 50% chance to generate an additional one on critical strike. The Conflagrate, our instant cast, which deals some damage, generates 5 soul shards, and triggers a thing that is now baseline compared to Legion, and that's Backdraft. Conflagrate reduces the cast time of your next Initiate or Chaos Bolt by 30%. Quality of life change, pretty handy, good, I like it. And then of course, what makes Destruction Warlock a Destruction Warlock is our Spender. Chaos Bolt unleashes a devastating blast of chaos, dealing a critical strike for 4,904 chaos damage. Damage is further increased by your critical strike chance. Now take a look. You cast it for an hour. Boom! And it hits like a fucking track. And with the baseline out of the way, let's move on to the stats. Destruction Warlock suffers from a problem. A little like a logical mental problem. Do you want hard-hitting Chaos Bolts? In that case, you go for crit. And you even get more, from the critical strike, you even get more Chaos Bolts in a way, because Azerite generates 3 fragments on critical strikes. Immolate generates like 1.5 fragments on critical strike. That's good. But then, when you cast a shit ton of those generators, you are pretty safe and good as well, and you cast many Chaos Bolts. And then of course Master is just like a random increase of damage and decrease of damage taken. Pretty handy as well. And versatility will give a fuck about it. But the thing is that you want to keep these two somehow in balance. I am kinda screwed, like I could use a bigger crit. But my critical strike problems, especially in the burst windows, are kinda solved by our talents, and we will get into that later, because when I speak of the burst windows, we must take a look on our only baseline cooldown, Summon Inferno. Summons an Inferno from the Twisting Nether, impacting for some fire damage and stunning all enemies in the area for 2 seconds. The Inferno will serve you for 30 seconds, dealing some damage to all nearby enemies every 1.5 seconds, and generating 1 soul shard fragment every 0.5 seconds. This is insane. How is it insane? Let's take a look on how, without any talents, our opening rotation basically looks like. We'll start with precasting Azerite, into Immolate, into Conflagrate, Inferno. Get there you can't. And as you can see, we are gaining soul shards for free. Then we generate some soul shards from time to time, and we throw our chaos bolt there. Bow, bow. And that guy is out for 30 seconds, and for those 30 seconds he still generates you all those handy soul shards. This is just so freaking good, man. All I can say is that I love this. The open windows, those bursts, they are fucking glorious. Alright. Now, let's move on to the talents. Because talents, of course, every time bring some different type of plays. On draw 15, we have Flashover. Conflagrate deals 25% increased damage and grants an additional charge of backdraft. Which means that this is the Legion backdraft basically. Only like cut in half and made to work with the BFA backdraft baseline. And it also increases the conflagrate, so the impact of your damage is basically the same as if you didn't have backdraft baseline and you gain 2 charges of backdraft. Yeah? Eradication. Chaos Bolt increases the damage you deal to the target by 10% for 7 seconds. Pretty good. Like, of course, this was on the Legion. We still gain it from the Soul of the Netherlord. And it makes us kind of think about how we place Chaos Bolts. Because the goal when you play this talent is to get one Chaos Bolt out. And then you have that 7 seconds when you deal 10% increased damage. And at the end of the 7 seconds, you want another Chaos Bolt to hit, to land in the target, so it benefits from this buff, and so it deals 10% increased damage, and then the buff goes on. And then we have a thing that is actually pretty handy. It's called Soulfire. The old players definitely know what Soulfire is. Well, it's not the good old Soulfire. The good old Soulfire is now Demon Balls of Demonology Warlock, but this Soulfire has an interesting mechanic. It has 20-second cooldown, 5 per 1 second cast time, and it burns the enemy's soul, dealing some fire damage. It generates 4 soul shard fragments, and cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds for every soul fragment you spend. Glorious! Which basically means that you open like this. In Azerite, into Immolate, into Soulfire, Confla, Chaos Bolt, Confla, Azerite, Conflagrate, Soulfire, boom baby burn! It definitely like has some good playstyles and the moments that this talent can shine. But it's pretty hard to manage, especially when you are used to the good old 2 charges of backdraft. Well, so I will return to Flashover again. Oh, come on. Row 30. Let's start from the right. Shadow Burn. Blast the target for some Shadow Flame damage if the target dies within 5 seconds and deals experience or honor. Shadow Burn's cooldown is reset. Generates 3 soul shard fragments. It's another button you have the breast that generates fragments. It has 20-second recharge. It's not reduced by haste. This conflagrate is just wasted GCD. It may be good when on the hard mobility fights, because with the removal of life tap, Warlocks are pretty screwed by the mobility. You cannot plan to fill something from your rotation into the class. Yeah. Not into the class, but into that mobility window. Like with the Demonology Warlock, you could burn your mana before the movement, do some good damage, and then when you had to move, you would just press life tap. You wouldn't press life tap like those every 1 or 2 demonic empowerments you would spam, but you would just spam more of them and then life tap on your way. With Destruction, you would simply burn some mana, and then you would again press the life tap while you were running, and eventually also combine it with the instant casts from Artifact or Conflagrates. Now, Destruction Warlock doesn't have either Artifact or Conflagrate. Shadow Burn might be a way to go when you will have to run, so you deal at least some damage. Internal combustion. Chaos Bolt consumes up to 5 seconds of immolate damage over time effect on your target, instantly dealing the damage. Sounds good, doesn't it? But it has a catch. One Chaos Bolt, conflagrate. Another Chaos Bolt, and boom, I have to refresh immolate. Now I'm building up, and one Chaos Bolt, and now it's not even worth it to cast the another Chaos Bolt because it wouldn't benefit. Okay, and now I'm again building the shards. You basically play only in the ways of what time on immolate do I have left, and is it worth to cast this Chaos Bolt so it benefits from the internal combustion. It also basically counters the effect of eradication, because you cannot keep that buff and the biggest benefit of infernal combustion. So yeah. And then what I think is the best talent on this row, reverse entropy. Your spells have a chance to grant you 15% haste for 8 seconds. Oh, I love this. Because you're just casting those slow spells and dealing that insane damage. And then all of a sudden, you are casting faster spells and dealing that insane damage. That's good. Roll 45, of course, doesn't even fucking matter, depends on your situation. If you want to be passively immortal, or actively immortal, or if you wanna be a fucking mouse on cocaine. Like this. Row 60 is our AoE row. Well, if you have seen my Destruction Warlock comparing video from the back in the days when I got the beta access, I said Cataclysm will be a single target go-to. But with some more proper testing and experiments on a single target, it doesn't matter what you take on this row. Because Inferno, you don't use Rain of Fire on single target. Fire and Brimstone doesn't benefit on single target. And when you utilize Cataclysm on a single target, your damage is the same. That longer cast time of Cataclysm, with that slightly increased damage compared to the target of, compared to the cast of Immolate, eventually the DPS is still the same. Especially the 30-second cooldown, the longer cast time, it equals. When you utilize Cataclysm as much as possible, or when you don't, you have the same DPS. Just as if any of these talents. Row 60 doesn't matter. Row 75. Into Mythic Plus, you take Dark Fury. Into Raiding Environment, you usually take Demonic Circle. And into PvP and questing or leveling, you take Mortal Coil. Because Fear, Heal, handy, good. Row 90. That's where my Fury crafting troubles begin. We have Roaring Blaze. Conflagrate burns the target for an additional some fire damage over 6 seconds. That means that I press Conflagrate and it deals some 198 fire damage. Okay, but the thing is that it's not much. When we take a look on how Immolate burns the target, it burns for basically the double. I get that it's another thing that will provide us some additional damage on the running fight, but then there is no stacking of the damage or the duration. You really have to let this dot tick off, then cast Conflagrate again, and it limits you in the ways of the burning, of the opening, of the thing that makes Destruction Warlock the funniest thing on the world. And we have Grimoire of Sacrifice, which is going to be a thing on the AoE because we had a Roaring Blaze, and eventually Grimoire of Supremacy doesn't provide you any type of advantage on AoE, Grimoire of Sacrifice at least gives you guaranteed chance. I will never get out from that oxymoron. It gives you guaranteed chance for some additional shadow damage on the targets that you hit. You don't have a pet, but you have his ability. So that means that you have like the Dispel or Interrupt, or I don't even know what Warlock does. Hold on. I'm gonna try that. Yeah. Or you can increase your credit maximum by 30%. That's pretty fucking good. Then we have what I consider to be the best thing on this row, because it adds to that open burn the heretic window. Grimoire of Supremacy. While you have an Infernal active, every soul shard you spend increases the damage of your Chaos Bolt by 8%. That means you cast one Chaos Bolt, it is like a truck, but the second Chaos Bolt hits of 16% more. Then you cast that Chaos Bolt, that one that hit for more for the 16% more, and then another one hits for 30% more than the additional, than the first one. Like, what the fuck? That's really fucking good. And then on the row 100, Soul Conduit. This might be really good in the early states of BFA once you level up, and these beautiful percentages will be gone. Right now I can generate soul shards pretty well, but once I will have 10% of crit and 10% of haste, rip me, I will be fucked up. So every chance to get the soul shard back is good. Channel Demon Fire, only talent on this row probably, that gives you some solid and reliable advantage on AoE. And it eventually may also end up to be the go-to on the single target, just as it was in Legion, and if you don't mind, I will drink coffee. And then we have Dark Souls Instability. 2-minute cooldown. Infuses your soul with the unstable power. Increases your critical strike chance by 30% for 20 seconds. Which means, effectively, your Chaos Bolts deal 30% more damage. Combined with Supremacy, and Flashover, and Eradication. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Now, before we get into all that burn this poor demon who got so many hits throughout his life that I feel sorry for him. Let's talk about our demons. Where is it? Where is the spell? Here's some demon. It doesn't matter what demon we use. Damage wise, of course, Warlock has slightly lower damage and he has increased aggro generation, so I recommend you not using Warwalker. But if you use Imp, Fellhunter, or even Succubus, doesn't matter. They have the same damage, and all you wanna utilize is their utility. Which means that if you have an Imp out, you can Dispel. You should be also able to heal yourself if it didn't go out. Oh, I see. No, Characterized Master is gone, but we have Blood Pact, which increases the stamina of you and your Imp by 5%, which effectively increases your health. Pretty good. And of course, Voidwalker, our tanky pet. He can go somewhere, but that's like the basic stuff of pets. Command pet. Consuming Shadows basic attack. That drains some health from AoE. Shadow Bulwark, which increases his health. And then we have like the Taunt. That's the reason why you basically don't want to use him as a pet in like dungeons, because he taunts everything around. And then we have also Shadow Shield, which reduces the physical damage taken by the Voidwalker, but that's because he taunts everything and deals aggro. you don't want to use Void Walker in any organized PvE unless something goes wrong. And then of course the one that you are probably gonna use most, either PvP or Mythic Plus, or even some raid fights on BFAs from what I've seen, Spell Hunter. Why? Because Spell Lock counters the enemy spellcast, preventing any spell from the School of Magic from being cast for 6 seconds. Interrupt. Good. Then Devour Magic. Purchase one beneficial effect of that's Purge. That's how shamans have that. Boom! Dispels the buffs of your enemies and eventually also dispel some ads in certain fights and all that kind of stuff. And then we have Summon Succubi, which has Seduction. This is a CC on humanoids. In BFA, this is gonna be good. Then we have Whiplash, which is an AoE slow. And then we have her Invisibility and Lash of Pain, which is her basic attack. But for the sake of edginess and coolness, I am going to use Imp. Now, when we have talked about the baselines, and talents, and demons, only one thing awaits us before we move to the AoE poor imps. The wall rotation. I have mentioned the opening many times before. Initiate into Immolate, into Conflagrate, into Infernal, now into Dark Soul, into Chaos Bolt, and then improvising depending on the procs of shards. I also wear the Feretory of Souls legendary waste, which also kinda messes this up, but when you kinda learn to improvise, it's really fucking good. So, Initiate into Immolate, into Infernal, Dark Soul, Confla, Chaos, Confla, Initiate, Confla, Chaos, Immolate, Initiate, Confla, Chaos, into Confla, into Chaos, and into one additional Chaos. And now we are basically just gonna wait until the Infernal and Dark Soul come out of cooldown. And you still do the same, you cast Initiate, and you keep the Immolate up, and from time to time you cast Conflagrate, which is like a fucking track. It's really fucking good. Now, let's move to the imps. Alright, so the AoE build consists from a few significant changes. Channel Demon Fire, because it deals AoE damage. Grimoire of Sacrifice, which of course deals AoE damage. As you can see, I have already eaten my imp, but it works like summon him, he's like blah, 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 then you eat him. Of course, it all depends on the situation. When you need to dispel something, or when the healers in some cases need to help with dispelling, it's good to sacrifice Imp. When you need to interrupt, it's good to sacrifice Spell Hunter. When you are a Mythic Plus, especially in the higher ones, when there are some unavoidable shit happening, it's good to eat your Void Walker. And then when you need a CC, it's good to eat your Succubus. Okay, then we have also some changes to some importance of the row 60, because it's the AoE road. We can pick either Inferno, which makes Rain of Fire generate Soul Shard fragments. The more targets there are, the more hits Rain of Fire does, and every of these hits has a 20% chance to generate a Soul Shard fragment. That's good. Fire and Brimstone works as it worked on Legion, but the cleaving or the splash damage is lowered, and the Soul Shard generation is lowered, and well, what the fuck was I summoning? What you basically do is that you spam this, and whenever you hit 3 shots, you put out the Rain of Fire, and somehow you are also trying to keep the Immolate on all the targets possible. You're also helping yourself with the Conflagrate, And you are like kinda rotating around and also pressing Demon Fire on cooldown. And then you are refreshing the amulets into another Rain of Fire. This is how the core stands, and all of these talents somehow help you do that. You could see what Fire and Brimstone does. It exponentially increases your soul shard generation. But when we take Inferno, and when you take Inferno, I will wait for the soul shards to come down. When you take Inferno, you are blessed with even more significant soul shard generation scaling exponential. Like the more how to say that? You basically generate even more soul shards from even more ads. Fuck yes! Again, pull out amulets, and it also has some classy feel to that. And you can see my soul shards are going up insanely. Demon Fire, another rain, but it's hard to like get two rains into overlapping. So the soul shard generation is eventually lowered on these 4 ads. But it's classy as hell, because you know, your AoE spender is also your generator. Come on, who doesn't want that, boys and girls? And then we have Cataclysm, which becomes pretty significant on AoE situations, because where you have to spend all the time casting and refreshing the amulets, all you need to do now is to just press this one button, like this, Cataclysm, into Rain, into Demon Fire, and woohoo! You deal a shit ton of burst damage, but you kinda lack on the sustain. So when you are on a long sustain fight, also you have to refresh the amulets, because the Cataclysm's cooldown is not like does not allow you to keep the AoE amulet forever. So you must sometimes kinda improvise. Another Cataclysm. Boom. As you could see, on this pack of 4 imps, the best way to go is Fire and Brimstone. But it all depends on the situation. When you need a long AoE, long sustain AoE, it's good to take Fire and Brimstone. When you need a quick burst, it's good to take Cataclysm. And when you have a shit ton of ads where you need to somehow constantly cleave them, it's good to take Inferno, because Inferno becomes really fucking strong when you have a shit ton of ads. It's a shame that I don't have any Mythic Dimension footage, because I managed to do some crazy shit. Like I had 6 overlapping Infernos, and it was the extreme situation in Dark Heart ticket before the Skeleton Dragon boss, because you know people are idiots, and we had like 60 small drakes, plus the small ads from those big elementals, plus the globes. And I was just spamming Infernos there, and I'm like, fuck yes. But I didn't put any footage of that, so you don't have to believe me, but I did it. And, well, with the AoE and all the things that out of the way, the Azerite armor awaits us. Ulir, loot table, horrific amalgam suit. Let's take a look. Rolling Havoc. Each time your spells duplicate to a Havoc target, you gain 60 intellect for 10 seconds with effect stacks, which means that you can have a pretty solid amount of intellect on 2 target creeps. That's pretty handy, but I don't think that it's some big game changer as we were promised. Bursting Flare. Casting Conflagrate on the target casting Conflagrate on a target affected by Amulet causes you to increase your mastery by 41 for 20 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. You have Immolate up all the time. You cast Conflagrate all the time. Passive increase of mastery. Could be a trinket randomly proccing with the same procs and same stacks. Blizzard, why you are doing this? Flashpoint. When your Immolate deals periodic damage to target above 80% health, you gain some haste for 8 seconds. The same haste is pretty significant. It's like 6 or 7% of this amount. Once you dink 120. Right now, it's like half of my rating. It's even bigger half of my rating. Yeah, it's like 15% haste on the level 110, but on the 120 it's like 7% or something like that. That's really good on opening fights or when there are many ads, so many incoming ads, slowly incoming ads, and you can keep this pretty often, and that's good. This is like a passive trait from artifact. This is really good. I like this. I've played with this on beta. Great. Then we have the another, and yeah, that one is really good. Summoning your Infernal increases the damage of your next 8 chaos balls by some damage. This allows us for even better feel of the opener. Like the opener when we summon the Infernal and he can generate soul shards, so we cast more chaos balls. And with the Grimroll Supremacy, he also increases the damage of the chaos balls. And with this trait, he also increases the damage of the chaos balls, like even on top of that. That's good. Yeah, this one we were looking, and there is one more. Yeah, here's the chest. Chaos Ball deals some additional damage and a 75% chance to make your next Azerite instant. This is the fucking best. Because it's a game changer it changes the way you feel. You like right now you are just going around and like one Azerite, second Azerite, Conflagrate, Chaos Bolt. What the fuck was that? There was like a pretty big generation of social random. But whatever. Right now you are like, oh, and will it proc the instant in Azerite? Will it? No, it won't, because you are fucking cursed by the Iron Jesus because you are not a good boy, but you have the chance to get the proc. And then you are like boom, 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 or more of a boom. Good. I like this. This is what all the trades should be like. Something altering your gameplay, something which makes you want something to happen, and not just flat increases coming from how you basically normally play. Like what I liked about Artifacts on Legion was that the gameplay you had once you dinked 110, and the gameplay you had 2 weeks later once you got all that golden trade. Yes, it was doable. I have seen people doing it even faster. It was completely different. Like the game it was really a game changer. But the Azerite traits, like these traits are on the first gear Magni gives you once you complete the introduction scenario when you get the Heart of Azerite. And this trait is one of the few that really alters the gameplay. Because like really when you take a look on those, which one was that? Was it this one? No. This one. No. This one. The one with the Conflagrate. Like, okay, Conflagrate increases your mastery. Because you have Immolate 100% of the time, then this doesn't even need to be there. Or maybe like it's a reminder of the player, of the not so skilled players, that like they should keep Immolate up, but what is the fucking point? If you are not so skilled player, you are looking on this guy to find out what you are going to do, to learn what you are supposed to do and get the skill. This doesn't need to exist. And if you don't watch this guide to find out what you're supposed to do with the Destruction Warlock, you will not learn what this is because you have no interest in learning the game, obviously. So, like, what? This doesn't even need to be there. Or make it a baseline. And put that something interesting. Like this one. I will definitely find 3 of these. This is gonna be fun as hell. And with that, I'm going to end this guide. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you find my guide somehow useful, then give it a like. If you have not found it useful or disliked it in some way, give it a dislike. Did I get something wrong? Use the comment section down below and correct me. Did you not understand what I said? Well then, I am sorry, I tried my best. And of course, use the comment section down below to tell me you didn't understand what I said. Then, what's next? Yeah. If you want to see my other guides and possible updates of my guides and some tinfoil speculation, maybe some storytelling and some gameplay and possibly even soon some live streams, like proper live streams, then subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, which tells you whenever I put up another video. Then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, when you want to support me somehow, share this video whenever you can, spread the word that I exist. Then, if you have disliked this video and me, and well, maybe even Mr. Warlock so much that you would like to ruin my life, then feel free to share this video or any of my other videos or my YouTube channel on your... how did I used to say it? Facebook, Twitter, Discord, or maybe even your YouTube or your own YouTube channel, and say something like, hey guys, let's say this fucker, he's fucking terrible, let's ruin his life because he fucking sucks, okay? You want to let the news a bit toxic, like the toxic people are not coming, they just dislike the video and go away, and why? Tell me, I wanna know! And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, I hope I helped you, and I will see you somewhere in the future with some another guide, or maybe some speculation, or maybe some live stream. Who knows? Bye bye.